As usual, I'm trying to work out camera angles and how I get to communicate with my little itty bitty space and some pretty basic resources to work with. So in this next video about the sacred union journey, also known as the twin flame experience or journey, I want to talk to you about the word light worker. That's another word that gets thrown around casually as if everybody understands and knows what it is. And we have new people who are on the next wave of ascension, and depending on where they're looking online, depending on where they're getting their information, depending on how well the discernment has developed or if it's just beginning to develop, the information that any one of us can get about the word light worker could be a bit of misinformation. So when I hear someone say, I'm a light worker, I will often ask them, well, what do you mean by that? How do you work light? Describe that to me. What is your light source? Do you know? And how do you know what your light source is? Because as we're in the ascension journey and as we wake up to the dynamics that are happening within our own bodies, we become very aware of the intense, now very intense polarity between light and dark. And yet, we're striving for balance, and we want to be careful about creating a misunderstanding when it comes to talking about dark energy. That's one thing. Or negative intentional energy. That's another thing. And I think those two things often get pushed together to mean one thing, and they don't mean one thing. So let me just leave that with you for a minute and we'll carry on. Okay, so are you a source light worker, or are you carrying variations on source light that you don't even know about? And if you are, how would you find out that you are? Well, I'm available to journey with you while you discover more information around that. So one of the things that I want to make sure we consider when we're talking about ascension is that we understand that ascension involves wave after wave after wave of unconditional love pouring through from source right now into our particular domain, into our matrix, because our matrix is in deep trouble, in case you haven't noticed. So once that wave of unconditional love finds a space within you, through one of your cracks. I love that Leonard Cohen song, "The cracks are how the light gets in," that's for sure. So we are all here having an opportunity to take a good look around and see reflections of ourselves that show us that we're not in source wholeness, and we can be. The opportunity is there for us to gradually journey through the ascension process into more and more embodied experience of feeling whole and loved and empowered and emotionally stable, having our very survival needs met, and grappling with the tremendous challenges we have today about really there are too many people and we're running out of resources. So we have a tremendous dilemma on our hands, and from my experience, this is old news. Some of us began noticing this problem in the 1970s, and people wrote books about it, and there was a huge clarion call for everybody to wake up and smell the coffee. But we're now 40 years later and people didn't wake up and smell the coffee. Now we're waking up and choking on fumes and forest fires, and we're quickly moving into an atmosphere in which we will no longer be able to breathe. So as these waves of unconditional are coming in from Source, we also need to recognize and consider, what's our relationship to planet Earth? Some of you just think of it as planet Earth. It's just a rock flying through space, being dragged around by the sun. Some of us think about this beautiful environment in which we have been given to experience life as an expression of a conscious being we call Gaia. Some people call her Mother Nature. She's much more than that. And she herself, just like you are, is a multi-dimensional being. And she, just like you are and I am, is on an evolutionary journey for her own growth of consciousness. And because we are part of her, we are unable to be separate from her as long as we're in a physical body. We're on this journey with her. And she's on this journey because she is in a call and response dynamic with Source creation. She has heard Source call saying, I'm coming in to help clean up the mess that you're in, and we'll do the best we can in the time that we have under the circumstances that I will allow to unfold where you are. So there's that call and response that has gone out from Gaia back to her Source creator, and because we're on Gaia and we're part of her, and we cannot in any way ever be separate from her as long as we're in a body. So when I ask you, you identify as a light worker, what is your light source? It's important for you to know. And it's important for you to be clear about how you come about that information. Now, in addition, when the ascension waves of unconditional love begin rolling in from Source, and they start finding openings within you to begin to crack you open from the dense energy encasement that you live in, which you think of as all that's possible for life. Oh my, that's really sad. The unconditional waves of love from Source will ignite something that a lot of people, then you hear this term thrown around all the time, will ignite your inner work. What does that mean? What is inner work? How do you do it? Why do you do it? What happens when you do it? And then there's the understanding that there's some kind of transformational process going on, global transformation, soul transformation. What's that got to do with you? And how do you find out? And how do you make choices that are coming from an awakened place rather than a place that is not experiencing these waves of unconditional love, not experiencing an invitation to move into greater wholeness? Yeah. So one of the things that we kind of really have to begin to understand is that we're meant to be an embodiment of the love that Source is, and we're not doing a very good job of that. And there are lots of reasons why. One of the key things about the waves of unconditional love is there's no use in any of us unless we really do carry some accountability, and we'll find out. We don't need to go into blame, judgment, shame, guilt, but we do need to feel the terror, because the terror brings us into truth about and transparency about what's really going on and what we may be contributing to it without knowing that we are. And then we have a choice whether we're going to continue to do that or whether we're going to heal ourselves so that we're no longer contributing to chaos, to lies, to drama, to the energies of conflict and war, and to the hunger, what's described as a hunger, it is a hunger for money and power. Both of those forms of hunger are hunger for your living love light from Source. And in this particular environment, the 3D construct, that hunger has become a rabid, intense, insane hunger now that will kill and eat anything in its path for its own survival. It is a hunger that knows no consciousness, knows no heart, knows no love, but is absolutely comprised of light. So that's why I ask you, what is your light source? Do you know? And the hunger and the hunger for money, the hunger for power, is a light-eating dynamic. So let's be really clear about that, shall we? Okay, so is your light being indirectly consumed by bigger drives, by bigger constructs of thought and kinds of life forms that we maybe can't see with our eyes because they don't operate in the visible light spectrum? Are you being indirectly impacted by that gobbling up of quanta, including the quanta that's in your own body? Would you like to know? I'd love to share that information with you. So join me in October for my class on conscious co-creation. It's the Conscious Co-Creation Masterclass. I've been offering it since 2016 when it was gifted to me by Source and by Gaia, and I'm happy to offer to you again. All right, now that is really important because you need to know how to sustain your source light, how not to have your light gobbled up. And if you're a light worker, you really, really, really do need to get clear about what your light source is and what kind of light work you're actually doing. So happy to help you understand that. Now, I'm going to do another short video because I want to talk about the Source Solutions essences that, again, came in as a gift to me from Source and Gaia in 2017, and there's a new beautiful, beautiful, intensely powerful, oh my goodness, essence that came in this last month of September. And I was told when the frequency came in and I began to hold it and understand it and develop a relationship with it and inquire about it, its name is union. So for those of us who are in sacred union and for those of us who are on the twin flame journey, I am curious to know what this essence of union is able to do to help me on my ascension path. So I've begun using it and I'm testing it, and then I'll be looking for other beta testers. But I can tell you that I applied some last night before going to sleep, and during the night I had an amazing dream about a hungry, cat-like, but more, cat-like kind of a combination between a hyena and a cat that was in my environment, and I needed to wake up to that energy. Now, from my perspective, doing the inner work that I do, that's a dream that tells me there's a part of me that is expressing as an aggressive, hungry, hyena cat that is prowling around in my unconscious energy, prowling around in my subconscious. And I'm really happy that I can take the unconditional love coming from Source and go into a deep, deep, deep exploration of where that energy is, how it lives in me, and what kind of transformational relationship I will embark on to bring that energy in me or in my world or in my dream world. I'm going to choose to be accountable for that. I'm going to choose that. And so that's the beauty of the inner work, is that you no longer get to point your finger at somebody else and say, it's you. You really do have an opportunity to do a deep, soulful reflection about any place in which you may be accountable and be contributing to all of creation in a way that you are not consciously choosing to do. So I will share that with you and let you know I've worked with people from all over the world. And these are people from all different walks of life, from all kinds of jobs, from fishermen to pot farmers to musicians to artists to business people. I work with all kinds of people because Source is in all kinds of people. And Source is in charge of the ascension journey, and Gaia is fulfilling Source's instructions on how this is going to go. In 2016, if you'll look at my playlist of interviews, I began talking about the division in the sense of a new earth and an old earth, and about timelines, and that we were going to need to choose. And a lot of that has already unfolded, but there's still a little bit of room left to understand what's going on with these timeline merges and how they fit in with the ascension journey. So I'd be really happy to share that information with you, and I do in my Conscious Co-Creation Masterclass. So look for the link below. In the meantime, I do hope you will listen to this information and then go and have a look at my intuitive card readings, carrying this information of these short videos that I'm making about what is the ascension process, what is sacred union, and what is twin flame, so that you, beloved, who I may meet in person one day, have all the information that you need to know to walk into the space of choosing where you're going to live your awakened, source-sparked life. And there are so many places in which you can express yourself that way. So I look forward to meeting you, perhaps in person. I look forward to interacting with you more online. And if you want to test the waters with, I don't know, just, book a personal card reading with me. My rates are quite reasonable, as are my rates for online education, 5D education, which we're all needing right now, because the more efficiently we can share accurate information together, the more quickly we will sweep like a tidal wave, the shareable wave, into an organization of human consciousness that actually allows us to work with Gaia to sustain life in this beautiful planetary expression she's created, rather than to work against Gaia and to be fighting her and actually be responsible and accountable for killing her. All right, and killing her is not something that will be allowed. Just like we can develop a cancer and we can go in and have a surgery to have an organ removed, a cancerous organ removed, or a part of our body cut away, this is also happening on Gaia. There will be parts of Gaia's body that will be cut away because they can no longer support life. So this is also something you want to know about, and it's not all doom and gloom yet, and it's up to you and me and all of us on the planet to make the decisions about what we truly are going to align with Source and with Gaia to co-create, especially coming up into 2020. Thank you for watching, and do check out my Patreon Sage YouTube channel. You're on it right now, but also check out my Patreon Sage page on Patreon. It's Anaiis Source Solutions. So to search for me, you can just search by Anaiis, or you can search by Source Solutions on Patreon, and you'll be taken to my page and see what else I have to offer beyond what is showing up on this YouTube channel. Thanks again, and be love, be source, be light. Be love light. Be your whole, authentic, co-creative master that you were born to be. Different than manifestation, and I'm happy to explain how. Shoot me an email. I'm getting lots of questions, and I will respond to people, and then, people who are interested, bring you into a group dialogue. I can do webinars online where we can answer more of your questions and talk more about the process and the journey that you're on. All right. Ciao, ciao.